thank you, and it's really great to be here today to talk with you about our new book and our training program, Evocative Coaching, Transforming Schools One Conversation at a Time. What we're all focused on is the question of coaching in schools and how that might happen in a way that is more productive and more fulfilling for everyone involved. So I know we're going to start with some exercises. Do you want to add a word before we get going?
No, we're just looking forward to it.
Right.
We're just honoring the work that you already do in schools and hope that something that we offer can help enhance that work, because that's really our purpose. That's what we're hoping to accomplish today.
Right. So the first part is going to be an activity that is actually going to span the course of our 2 hours together. We're going to do some of the activities before we kind of do an overview presentation of our coaching model. And then after we do the presentation, we're going to get back into the activity in some new ways and see if this model can be helpful to us. Okay? And the first part of this activity could not be easier to get started with, although, you know, I'm going to give you a little time frame, so you're going to have to do it like in about 5 or so minutes. But what we want you to do is to go to one of the tables that has the bright colored paper on it and make a paper airplane. You can make it any way you want, and after you're done making the airplane, we're going to all stand up here behind the line, and we're going to throw the planes and see whose plane goes the furthest. Does that sound simple? So let's go find yourself a workstation and make yourself a plane. Since this is a workshop on coaching, okay, the next part of this game is that we are going to take the person who threw their plane the furthest, BK, and BK
And partner
is
CB.
going to coach CB. And you are going to coach her to build a better plane.
Piece of cake.
She does it all the time. Further.
Progress. Further. Okay.
Was it progress?
Further.
Yeah.
There's the DDP from before. So, yes.
Okay.
No, it's not
First.
Okay.
So I said I'm a David Dale.
You can do it.
Oh, you see this coaching? No, it's all in the wrist.
Football. No pressure. Football. I hate to disqualify you before you even let it leave your wrist.
Oh, we're going to go.
You
That's right.
Anything else? Any other learnings that we want to take away from that experience of either being a coach or being the coachee?
Well, I think Dale also had some great ideas about how to make the plane fly better.
Okay.
She saw some of the things that might have been wrong with her plane and offered some.
So you were the coach, but the coachee came with some ideas, having observed and comes in, and you were able to incorporate those into the new design. Yeah. Okay.
And you have to, you have to let the person, as you're coaching, do that themselves. Like you kind of want to do a hand over hand almost, but you want to back off and really let them do it and just model it rather than the hand over hand. And so I kept wanting to reach in, but I had to sit back. And
Okay.
Did that take a conscious effort on your part, a choice?
A little bit,
Yeah.
yeah.
You were aware of having that urge of, hey, let me
Let
show you
just
how
do
to
it.
do
Let me
this.
just do that. That would be faster and easier if I could do it for you. Yeah.
I didn't notice it.
So you hit it well. That was good, that urge. But it's good to just be aware of that as coaches, that we want to just get in there and fix it. We want to just get it done if we have some demonstrated skill. We're good at paper airplane building, so we want to get in there and instruct, show this person the wisdom of our ways, what's been successful for us. And we want to pass that along. Yeah.
We've just had this activity where we were all involved in making airplanes and coaching each other. And in some ways, the things that we talked about together afterwards was a part of what inspired us to write this book. because we're very aware that there is a lot that goes on in schools in the name of coaching. There is a lot of pressure on schools to improve performance, and one of the answers that schools have been utilizing to do that has been coaching. And yet some of the very same dynamics that we just encountered with our little exercise around those paper airplanes was really quite true in coaching in school environments as well. I thought I'd mention why we called it evocative coaching. There are lots of different words that we could use to describe the coaching process, but the word evocative, which means that you kind of call something out, that you stir something up from inside and bring it out into the open, is really the energy that we're trying to bring to the coaching process. One of the root words for the term evocative is in the middle of it the notion of a calling. You'll notice the word for vocation. Evocare is one of the Latin roots for it. And so the notion of assisting people through coaching to find their calling or to find their voice is a big part of what we're trying to do with evocative coaching.
So our model has 4 what we call dance steps, because we see this whole coaching process as a kind of a dance, in the sense that dance partners need to be very tuned into each other. And that when it's done well, there is a grace to the movement that happens in the kind of back and forth that happens. So there are 4 dance steps that we see as interrelated. It starts with story, and a particular kind of listening to story, empathy, that we express empathy in as we hear those stories. So this is the coachee maybe is at the beginning anyway telling the story, and the coach's job is to be expressing empathy, and then moving into inquiry, inquiring into the strengths of the person who is being coached, and then moving on to design, where we really try to get creative and push the envelope. And we have used an interesting symbol for our coaching process, which is that as we've brought this in, thinking of this as a cyclical process that will go around and around, we've introduced a twist, a half twist in that. And what that makes then is a Mobius strip.
How many of you are familiar with a Mobius strip? Not everyone. It's a very interesting and curious creation.
It is a 3-dimensional, it's a 2-dimensional object in 3-dimensional space. If I were to take a pencil and draw a line down the middle of my Mobius strip, I would keep going, and I would eventually get back to the place I started, having covered the entire surface of the Mobius strip. So it's one-sided figure that twists around. It has a movement, something like a dance. And so as we think about the coaching process as being iterative, of going around and around, and with a kind of an interesting twist to it, that this strengths-based, no-fault strengths-based, strengths-building turns bring to the coaching dynamic, that's really what we're after here, that little bit of a twist. And another thing that is interesting about the Mobius strip is how that it is expansive in some interesting ways. And
what would happen, before you finish this, if we had just taken this piece of paper and fastened the ends together and then cut down the middle like she's doing? What would you end up with? You'd end up with 2 circles, right?
2 rings.
Watch
Yeah.
what happens after you put in a loop.
So cutting just down the middle, instead of 2 separate loops, we end up with a larger interconnected loop with some more twists in it. And so we really liked that as a metaphor for our process, that what we're trying to do is really expand on the good things that are already happening in a teaching situation, what the teacher is doing, and build on that.